Let me begin by sharing with you from 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 9 to verse 10. Now it says here, "But you are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, His own special people, that you may proclaim the praises of Him who called you out of darkness into His marvelous light, who once were not a people, but are now the people of God, who had not obtained mercy, but now have obtained mercy." Now, the Bible tells us that we are a chosen generation. And that is how it is. It is not we who have chosen Him. It is Him who has chosen us and called us out of darkness, made us holy, so that we can become servants of God and sent to proclaim His praises. You know what? In fact, the Bible calls us a royal priesthood. It calls us a holy nation, His own special people. Now here, Apostle Peter gave us the outline, the blueprint of our Christian life. You see, we are born again so that we can embark on this journey of sanctification to become a holy people, so that we can be of service unto the Lord. So our purpose of being saved is not just going to heaven. You see, if going to heaven is the only purpose of getting saved, getting born again, then that day when you receive Christ and when you're born again, as a good pastor, I should quickly send you back home. Just in case you may sin against God, backslide, and you miss your ticket to heaven. But the question is why, after we are being saved, we are still here? Let me tell you, because God has a purpose for your life and for my life. And His purpose is so that we can be of service, become a servant of God, a witness for this true and living God here on this earth. As such, we got to embark on this journey of sanctification and being holy. Being holy. Because we are called a royal priesthood, to be a witness of God's presence and God's power. See, the concept of priesthood existed way before the time of Moses and the Levites. You see, during the time of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, the head of the house was the priest. He was responsible to hear from God and lead his family in the ways of the Lord. He was to make offerings, sacrifices on behalf of the family. Let me give you some example. For example, Noah, after the flood, he built an altar unto the Lord and sacrificed burnt offerings on it. Then you have one of the oldest book in the Bible, the man called Job. Now Job, the Bible said, early in the morning, he would sacrifice burnt offerings for each of his children, just in case his children sinned against God and offended God. And the Bible said that Job did this as a custom, regular custom. Then you have people like Abraham. The Bible said Abraham built an altar to the Lord at Bethel and called on the name of the Lord there. Now all this happens in ancient times, or way before Moses. Until the time of Moses, you find that the head of the house had always been a priest. The head of the house had always been a priest. So let me throw in a manhood over here. Husband, fathers, if you are the head of the house, be spiritual, because you are called to be a priest in God's house. Esau made decisions that only satisfied the now. He didn't really care if they offend God or not. In Hokkien, it's called bo chap. He simply don't care. He doesn't care. Take, for example, in the area of marriage. You see, during those times, God instructed Esau's forefathers Abraham and Isaac, that they were to be separated from the foreigners, people who worship idols, people who embrace a different value system. They were not supposed to marry them. But Esau couldn't care less. He had no consideration of God's calling and purpose on his life or his family. So we have in Genesis 26, verse 34, it says, when Esau was 40 years old, he took as wife Judith, the daughter of Beeri, the Hittite, and Basemath, the daughter of Elon, the Hittite. And they were a grief of mind to Isaac and Rebekah. Notice, he was not supposed to marry these people. But Esau said, who cares? They are Hittites. They are hot Hittites. Sweet. They feed my flesh. Woohoo! So I go for it. No consideration whatsoever of what God thinks, what is the calling of God, what is the purpose of God on his life. But let me tell you, friends, we are called out of darkness into his marvelous light to be a royal priesthood, holy nation, to be his own special people. But let me tell you, his brother, he has a younger brother by the name of Jacob. But Jacob was different. You see, Jacob, although he was a cunning man, he feared God. He was hungry for the birthright. That is why of everything that he sold, he wanted from Esau, not his Ferrari. I think Esau has a red Ferrari because his name means red. He didn't ask for the red Ferrari. He didn't ask for his inheritance. He asked, I want your birthright. Because Jacob understood that the greatest privilege of a priest is to be able to come into the presence of God, encountering him, hearing from him. He said, I want that. I long for that. As a deer pants for the water brooks, so my soul longs for you, O God. My soul longs for the living God. His entire life, he was pursuing after this Holy One of Israel. And in all his decision making, he constantly considered God, not to offend him. Take, for example, his marriage. In Genesis 28, in verse 6, it says, Esau saw that Isaac had blessed Jacob and sent him away to Padan Aram to take himself a wife from there. Now, this place, Padan Aram, is where Laban stayed. So he went to the uncle's house. And that as he blessed him, he gave him a charge. Notice the charge. Isaac, the parent, gave him a charge. You shall not take a wife from the daughters of Canaan. Verse 7 said, and that Jacob had obeyed. Everybody say, Jacob obeyed. Although not so hot, but still sweet. No problem, God. You understand what I'm saying? God in your consideration, friends. Be aware of this invisible God who is with us, for us. And our life owe it to him. Now, not only did Jacob obey God, he would build altar and offer sacrifices and worship God. Remember one night, he had a dream. He saw a ladder that was set up on the earth and its top reaches to heaven. Then angels were ascending and descending upon it. He realized that it was the gate of heaven. So I want you to see what Jacob did. Genesis 28, verse 18, it says, then Jacob rose early in the morning and took the stone that he had put at his head, set it up as a pillar, and poured oil on top of it. And he called the name of that place Bethel. Bethel means the house of God, the place of worship. Jacob became a priest, offering sacrifices, worship unto the Lord. Because he understood if he has God, he has everything. God became his portion, his boss, his master. Now, not only did Jacob build an altar of worship, he often had encounters with God. For example, in Genesis 32, verse 26, it says, and he said, let me go. Now this was by a river brook. And God told Jacob, let me go, for the day breaks. But Jacob said, I will not let you go unless you bless me. So he said to him, what is your name? He said, Jacob. And he said, your name shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel. For you have struggled with God and with man and have prevailed. You see, Jacob was hungry. He said, I will not let you go. The world can offer all kinds of stuff, but it doesn't matter. God, you alone are my portion. And because he was hungry, he understood that the greatest privilege of a priest is the presence of God. You see, God is not expecting us to be perfect. He knows that we have weaknesses. That's why I really appreciate the story of Jacob, because Jacob was not a perfect man. See, but God expects us. God is calling us to be holy. Holy means to be set apart in your heart, in your attitude, in the way you live your life, set apart in your mindset, the way you think, set apart from the value system of the world. So church, I want to encourage you, don't just be commercially savvy. Don't just be proficient with the system of the world. City Harvest, let us be God savvy. Let us be proficient with the presence of the living God. You see, in the Garden of Eden, the serpent Satan came and tempted Adam and Eve. In Genesis chapter 3 and verse 6, the serpent came and said, you got to eat of the fruit. So when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree desirable to make one wise, she took of its fruit and ate. She also gave to her husband with her, and he ate. So the temporary, immediate gratification of the flesh. Here you have it, the lust of the flesh. Good for food, the lust of the eyes, pleasant to the eyes, and the pride of life to make one wise. See, the first man couldn't understand. He couldn't see beyond the now into the future, into the relationship, the communion that he had with God. So as a result, Adam ate of the fruit. Why? Because Adam and Eve was thinking too natural. Too natural. Satan successfully deceived them into thinking that what they need is the natural, the material. They forgot how they were made. You see, when God make man two parts. There is a material part and there is an immaterial part. Let me show you in Genesis 2 verse 7. It says, and the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. And man became a living being. Notice, when God formed man from the dust of the ground, he still does. There's no life in him. The only time when Adam became alive was when God, that is the Hebrew word for breathe. When God breathed his spirit and his life into Adam, he became a living being. Let me tell you, friends, we are alive not because of this fleshly body. Thank God for it. But you are alive because of the Zoe life of God, the Spirit of the living God, the breath of life coming on the inside of you. But Adam couldn't see beyond his natural needs. As a result, he was cast out of the presence of God. So there's Adam in the Garden of Eden. Fast forward history, came the second Adam. His name is Jesus Christ. He was not in a beautiful garden, but now he was in a wilderness. And the same old serpent, the devil, came and tempted him. And the first temptation is that if you're hungry, eat. That's why I tell you, problem with eating. Singaporean, challenging. Look at Matthew chapter 4, verse 3. He says, now when the tempter came to him, he said, if you are the Son of God, command these stones become bread. You have not been eating for 40 days. Hungry. Your flesh is crying out, eat me, eat me. Please come back and sleep, sleep, sleep. Flesh, the lust of the flesh. But thank God for Jesus. Because the second Adam, Jesus Christ, got it right. Look at his response. But Jesus answered and said, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of the living God. Why are we setting ourselves apart to be holy? Because man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes out from the mouth of God. There is a realm of the Spirit. Cast your vision on the long term. Look into the realm of eternity. Consider God, City Harvest Church. So in conclusion, I'm going to have the musicians on stage. In conclusion, City Harvest Church, you are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, His own special people, that you may proclaim the praises of Him who called you out of darkness into His marvelous light. So, I'm really quite a passionate person. I really piang. On staff, they'll know that I'm quite a piang and chiong. I'm really on fire. I pursue, I treasure God. Why? Because every day I wake up, I tell the Lord, like this morning I wake up, I could have died. Many times I could have died, but I'm still here. Like recently, I just came back from Philippines on Friday for a mission trip. I've never encountered this before, but there was bad weather. The plane was about to land in one of the cities in Philippines, but the runway was very short. And when it was landing, turbulence was very bad. And then the moment I was thinking the plane was going too fast. Because I travel quite a bit, I can know when landing you cannot go so fast. But the plane was going too fast. And then the moment it hit the ground, I can hear the two engines start coming on again. And we took off again. I was saying, God, my life is in your hands. I never experienced that before. But you go out again. And then turn around. But the moment it took out again, the whole plane went silent. And then, because many of them in Philippines are Catholic, you can see they start doing the sign of the cross. Whole plane, sign of the cross. Everybody went silent, suddenly become super spiritual, praying. And then the plane took a turn, and the pilot said, sorry, say the bad weather, the wind is too strong. We got to do it one more time. One more time. OMG. So when it came back, but thank God the second time it landed properly. And the moment it landed properly, it came to a stop. The whole plane burst out into clap. Just this morning, I was just coming to church and I was just thinking about the event. I said, God, thank you. What can I offer to you? Nothing much. But it's a privilege to be a servant. It's a privilege to have your presence. I won't sell this for anything else.